attention. Okay, and then finally we get it into memory part of this thing. This is how our work is being done. This is how our attention is being taken into account. So, we see that Treisman is able to explain how attenuation is causing us to focus our attention. These two models are very important model in explaining our attention. These two models are also called as bottled up models, because these models are something like a bottle shaped things. Bottled neck models are they. They are called as bottled neck. They are called as bottled neck models because what we see, there is lot of stimulus that comes from this side. Lot of stimulus is there. They have got lot of space here, they got attended. But when it comes to attention part, either because of filter or because of attenuation, only selected pieces of attention is going on. So, only selected piece of attention is going on. So many types of stimuluses are coming. Okay. So many, all will get those positions there. So, all of them are getting their positions there. All of them makes their entry there. Okay. But only selected pieces get entry in the bottleneck space. And this is how we see only little bit of things are able to attend and little things are reaching us. Only one or two of the stimulus would be reaching us and making sense to us. That's why these models are very important in explaining us about the attention part. Now, I will be talking to you about what is perception and laws of perception. So, I will begin with perception and laws of perception. Now, there is something known as perception and laws of perception. Now, perception, as I said you, it involves, as I said, perception, it involves understanding, making meaning of the things which we see. Now, there is a person known as Gestalt which has given many laws of perceptual organization. The first law what he gave was law of pragnance or good figure or law of similarity. What he said was that actually attention part of the thing is basically focusing on based on Gestalt's approach. Now, Gestalt consider everything as a whole. In the same way, attention also considers all the stimulus together, then only it can make some sense to us. So, based on that, perception also follows the Gestalt's laws of perception. So, there are 6 Gestalt laws of perception. One is law of pragnance, or good figure. So, those figures which are good, or law of similarity, it is also called as law of similarity, because those things which are similar, those figures which are totally good, that makes us feel very good. That makes us to sense them very well, that makes us to understand them very well. Second is second is called as law of, not similarity, is called as law of simplicity. It is called as law of simplicity. simplicity. Law of simplicity. Another law is law of similarity. Law of similarity says that those things which are similar, will see them as together and group them as one. That is how we make perception of the things. So, if something is like this, suppose we have got so many dots together, they are in similar thing. So, they are grouped up together. Suppose there is something like this. So, we see that these are grouped as together because they are similar. This is grouped as together and this one is grouped as one another team. So, they are similar. So, similarly we will bring them together. Third one is law of proximity. Third is law of proximity. Third law is law of proximity. Law of proximity means those things which are close together, they are perceived as one. Okay, so it looks something like this. They are perceived something like this. I am drawing stars together. Okay, so they will be considered to be together in one group. Okay, whereas I try to draw something like this. They are far away, so I am not going to consider this as one group, but to this I will consider as one group because they are held together. So, this is law of proximity. Next is law of closure. Next rule is law of closure. Fourth is law of closure. Fourth is law of closure. So, you might have come across something like this. So, even though they are not closed, we will perceive it as a triangle because my brain is telling that these gap spaces can be joined together and it looks like a triangle. So, this is law of closure. Next is law of continuity or good continuance. Okay. Next is law of continuity or good continuance. Fifth is law of continuity. So, under law of continuity, we see that when the things are continuous, we try to make sense of it. Okay. So, you must have seen something like this. It is written like this. Let me do it something like this. Okay. So, there is something like this with dots they have tried. So, it is written something like this, then like this, like this. So, they are trying to make a sense of I by using lot of continuity things. Okay. So, they are continuously joining together. I will be able to form it as a continuous thing and call this as law of continuity. Then there is something called as law of closure. Law of closure I have told you, continuity. Then law of common movements or common fate. 6 is law of common movements or fate. So, it is also called as law of commons. So, in that you must have seen during Republic Day or Independence Day, the Indian Air Force hosts the air flight on the air, where tricolors of the jet plane is being released, making flag color on the air. How is that possible? How is that happening? How do we perceive it? That is because of law of common movement, because all three jet planes move in one direction, and that is going to make 3 parallel lines, and that is how our flag is being made in the air that way. That is called as law of common movement or law of common fate. This is all about various laws of perceptual organization, how we organize our perception. Now, there are some things known as law of consistency. How do we know which thing is bright, which is light colored? How do we know whether the door is open or half open or fully open? How do we make sense of these things? This is all because of law of consistencies that has come up into place. So, we will have 3 consistencies which we see, that is brightness consistency, shape consistency and size consistency. So, you will have 3 consistencies which we will be talking about. First is brightness consistency. Second is size consistency. Constancies, it is it is constancies. And third one is shape consistency. Constancy. It is shape constancy which we see. Okay. So, brightness is the relative brightness of the object. So, because of this brightness constancy, we are able to differentiate a light shade of grey from a dark shade of grey which is being present. Google कैसे लाऊं? So, you must be seeing the 3 constancies. So, the first constancy which I was talking to you about was brightness constancy. So, brightness constancy I will tell you about later. This one where you can see that the door is either closed, either slightly open or it is fully open, that is because of the consistency, shape consistency which we have, that makes us to perceive it that like this. Another one is because of size consistency. You can see in this thing that the person is tall and short. We are quite able to differentiate the height of the person or the size of the person quite well, or we can say in this figure like the size of door is taller than the size of window. This is all because of the size consistency which we have. Here also you can see from point A to point B, two different places the thing is being kept, but since both are of same size, we can make out that both are at the same size. This is also perception consistency. Then there is brightness consistency. So, consistency of brightness talks about how the perception is, how do we perceive whether this is light or whether this is dark, whether this is different color or whether this is same color, whether this is grey or this is on the background of grey. How do we come to know about these things? This is all because of the brightness consistency, that is the ability to see an object as having a constant level of brightness no matter how the light is there. So, whether we are in dark room or in the light room, we will be able to make this difference in the color. We will not see a different shade, but we will see the same shade of the thing. This is because of this consistencies which we have. Okay, so this is about perceptual consistencies which help us to make the perceptions quite well. Another important thing which is very important is the perception of depth and distance. This is very important for us because how do we know how far is the tree from us, so that we will not go and hit it when we are walking. Yes, so perception of depth is very important, like other of the perceptional organizational things which we require, because that tells us how far we are from something, how near we are, how deep we are, how less far we are from them. These all things come from perception of depth. Now, basically our perception of depth consists of two important cues. Cues are the signals which we get. Okay. So, there are perception of depth. Or we also call it as perception of distance. Perception of distance. Okay, under this we have one is monocular cues and second is binocular. So, monocular cues and binocular cues are two important things which actually regulates our process of perception and process of thinking. Monocular cues are also called as pictorial cues or the cues which the painters use. So, you must have seen painters drawing 3D images, painters forming 3D images where you can see exactly real things right on pages. That is also called by monocular cues. Now, monocular cues are basically those cues which is being made only on the basis of one eye, input from only one eye. Okay, whereas binocular cues, as its name suggests, by both the eyes are used in perceiving the depth, how far the thing is and how near the thing is. That is the thing. There are many more concepts behind that which we could talk later, but to address you all, this is how we study psychology and this is how we prepare for our UGC NET programs and try to make ourselves aware of as much topic as it is possible. Thank you.